In the world, according to Lynn, there is one lens that ought to be in every camera bag. And I'll tell you which lens that is next. Hi there, this is Lynn Morton from shutterbuglife.com, and welcome back to another one of my tutorial videos. And today I want to talk about the one lens that ought to be in every camera bag. Now, before I do, I'm going to talk about that one lens today, but I have an ebook where I talk about all the lenses. If you're trying to decide which lens you should buy next, or if you want to understand better the qualities and characteristics of lenses so you can make good decisions about lenses, then download my ultimate guide to camera lenses at lenses.shutterbuglife.com. Now let's talk about one specific lens. You know, when I'm teaching, especially emerging photographers, I often will see them come with the kit lens or the lens that they bought with the camera, and they go, okay, I'm ready to graduate from this lens. Which lens should I buy next? And I always say there's one lens that you ought to have in there. If you don't have it yet, go get that one next. And that lens is the 50mm f1.8. This is the lens they call plastic fantastic. You'll hear it called the nifty 50. You'll hear it called all these kinds of names, but it is the one lens that I think everyone should really consider, and you should add to every camera bag. It ought to be one of the early lenses you buy shortly after you get the lens that came with your DSLR. Now, why do I like this little lens so much? What I love is that this lens gives you the biggest bang for the buck. Practically every manufacturer makes a version of this, and all of them are usually somewhere less than $200. And trust me, you won't get another lens for less than $200 that gives you the impact you'll get out of this little puppy. Now, why? What's special about this? It is a 50mm, which is a good focal length. On a full frame camera, it looks just like what your eye sees. It doesn't zoom in any closer or give you anything wider. It's, pretty much what you see. And there are times when that's helpful. This is a good lens to use because you can be in low light and still get relatively fast shutter speeds. And when you think about it, if you compare this to your 18 to 55, let's say that was the kit lens you got with your camera, and the widest it opens at 50mm is, let's say, 5.6. This lets in so much more light than that. If you look at the stops of light, from 5.6 to 4 to 2.8 to 2 to 1.8, it lets in so much more light. And with each stop, the light doubles. So you quickly realize how much more light you get just from this little puppy. The other reason this is a great lens is that because you can get a wide aperture, you can create very beautiful blurry backgrounds. So this becomes a good portrait lens. If you want to take pictures of people and blur the background out behind them to separate them from the background, this is a great choice. So you can start with this lens and do a whole lot, low light and portraiture and all kinds of shooting with this little puppy that only costs you somewhere between $100 to $200. You can get very beautiful effects out of this little lens. And again, every manufacturer makes it. So I got it in the RF 50mm 1.8 that goes with my mirrorless cameras, my R6 and my EOS R. And of course, from the DSLR days, I have this EF 50mm f1.8, and I can use it with my new cameras also with an adapter. Now, you'll also notice that the camera manufacturers make different versions of 50mm that are much faster or have a wider aperture and are much more expensive. For instance, Canon on the RF line makes a 50mm f1.2, and it costs $2,000. So think about that. A 1.8 for $200, a 1.2 for $2,000. Why would you spend $1,800 more for that one? Well, it's made with better construction. It's been made with better glass. It's weather sealed. This is made for professional customers. And so you're getting a much better quality image and resolution from that 51.2, but you still get a great image out of the 1.8. So again, I wouldn't sleep on it. This is where I say that you're getting a great bang for the buck When a 50 millimeter 1.2 costs you 2,000, to get one at 1.8 for 200 is a steal. And that's why I think in every camera bag, unless you can afford that 1.2, you ought to have the 1.8 towing around somewhere. It should be one of the first lenses you buy when you're thinking about upgrading from your kit lens. All right? So there you have it. And if you want to learn more about camera lenses, go to lenses.shutterbuglife.com and download the ultimate guide to camera lenses. All right? Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Have fun this weekend and go create something amazing with your camera. I'll see you next Thursday. Take care.